back to Sci-Fi Tech. In this video, I want to do a teardown of this old PC LCD monitor. I want to tear it down to see how it works and to see if there's any useful components worth salvaging. Let's get started. First, I'm going to take the slit screwdriver and pry off the frame of this LCD. And there we go. And now I have access to the screws and most of the components. These speakers look very nice. I like these kind of speakers. So I'm going to go and take the cross screwdriver and remove each of the speakers. And then remove the LCD. And there, the LCD is now detached but still hanging off from a few cables. And as you can see, these are the high voltage cables, which means this LCD probably has some CFL bulbs inside and is controlled by high voltage. So carefully pull out those cables. Just as I thought, is a top and bottom CFL. Okay, so now I can see the circuits that are inside. Pull out this cable here, which is the cable that controls the screen. And now it's time to remove this circuit here, which is the power supply. And as you can see, these are the two high voltage transformers, which controls the CFL that's inside the LCD. So this right here is the power supply. Next, I'm going to remove this circuit right here, which is the controller board for the LCD. A few interesting components that are worth salvaging. But what I'm most interested in is these little speakers. I really like these little speakers. These are very nice. And the housing, which is now completely useless.
4:3 aspect ratio, which is very useful. And what I've also noticed is that there's some components on this board that is worth salvaging. I can desolder these high voltage capacitors to create a high voltage device. This capacitor here is a pretty good capacitor. I'm not sure how many microfarads it is. Oh, it's a simple 100 microfarad, no big deal. Okay, so that's kind of useful, but for high voltage, 100 microfarads, potentially useful. Some little MOSFETs and transistors.
An optocoupler.
And some little electrolytic capacitors. Some components here are worth salvaging and being able to use for future projects. I could spend the time and desolder everything, but if I did that, it'll take too much time, it'll make this video too long, and I find it's actually better to keep everything on the board, so when I want a component, I just go over and grab a board, pull off the component, done. Instead of having to go and find all the parts, and sometimes I lose them. So, yeah, I'd rather just keep it on the board.
And right here, this controller board could be potentially useful. Some of these electrolytic capacitors and the crystal oscillators that's on there could be useful. The cables are also very useful, and a few surface mount components that are potentially useful. But as you can see, I broke it, so I can't use this as a controller board to control the monitor, so I'd rather just buy a new one, which will then allow the monitor to work with an HDMI cable possibly. And I right here, these speakers, these are very nice speakers, especially since they have a housing, which allows the audio to have a little bit more of a bass sound to it, or to make the speakers not vibrate so much. And these interesting looking push button switches are also very interesting. And there you have it. Now you know what's inside of an old PC LCD monitor, seeing how it works, and to see what kind of components that are worth salvaging. Thank you for watching Sci-Fi Tech. I hope you learned something new, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course click on the bell icon to be notified of future Sci-Fi Tech videos. Till the next tech, goodbye.